You ever wonder how a top-tier football club, a team that's right up there challenging for trophies, can suddenly find itself fighting for its life? Well, this is the story of Tottenham Hotspur's absolutely shocking collapse. It's a real cautionary tale about leadership, respect, and one manager's catastrophic misjudgment that all started with a single fateful decision. The timeline here it's just wild. In only 8 months, one man's tenure at the club saw them lose their iconic captain and spiral into a total, full-blown crisis. A decline this fast, this stunning, it left fans and experts asking one very simple question. By the time the manager was finally fired, this was Tottenham's reality. 16th place in the Premier League. They were hovering just 5 points above the dreaded relegation zone. You know, the drop into a lower division. A position that would have been completely unthinkable just a season before.
To really understand this complete freefall, we have to go back. We have to pinpoint the one event that started it all, the moment that began to unravel the entire fabric of the team.
It all began, and you could argue it all ended, with the departure of a true club legend, a player who was so much more than just a captain, Son Heung-min. The speed of this breakdown is just staggering. Okay, so in June 2025, the new manager, Thomas Frank, arrives and right away challenges the club captain's status. By July, he's publicly snubbing him when talking to the press. And then, boom. By August, after years of incredible service, Son Heung-min is gone. A club legend out the door in less than 3 months.
And that's the absolute core of the problem here. See, Son's departure wasn't just about losing a star player. It was the first domino in a catastrophic chain reaction. The central argument we're looking at is that this one single event triggered what the source calls a terrible butterfly effect that would bring the entire club to its knees.
With Son gone, a massive hole was just ripped right through the heart of the team. This created a leadership vacuum that, as it turned out, was impossible to fill. And the consequences, they were felt almost immediately. I mean, the contrast is just so stark. The cohesion and unity that used to define the squad, that was replaced by what was described as an uncontrollable locker room. The composure they had on the field just gave way to total recklessness and a string of red cards. The very identity of the club seemed to shatter, almost overnight. And if you want a perfect example, look no further than Cristian Romero. He was tasked with taking on a bigger leadership role, but instead his season was just marked by indiscipline, which all led to his second red card. Pundits were calling his play reckless, but it was so clearly a symptom of a much bigger problem, a total lack of control and discipline pulsing through the squad now that Son was gone. But hey, the problems didn't stop with the players, not by a long shot. The analysis points directly at the manager, Thomas Frank, who just kept making a bad situation worse with his own actions and his own words. You know, there's always a tipping point, right? A final straw. The frustration that had been boiling among the fans and the media, it finally erupted. And it was all sparked by one particularly dismissive comment from the man in charge. This was the comment that broke the camel's back. When he was asked about a potential transfer target, the manager gave this sarcastic reply. Now, the key thing here isn't that he refused to comment. It was the arrogant, dismissive tone. To a fan base that was already grieving the loss of their own legend, this felt like a profound slap in the face. So, when you boil it all down, it comes down to 3 critical errors. First, undermining the captain from day one. Second, basically pushing Son out the door with public snubs instead of clear communication. And third, completely alienating the fans and the media with his arrogant attitude. It was like a textbook case of how not to manage a crisis that you yourself created. So, with all of this going on, it led to the only logical conclusion for Frank's time at the club. And it left Tottenham facing a really bleak and uncertain future. Ultimately, this whole thing wasn't a failure of tactics or formations. No, it was a human failure. It was a fundamental failure to respect a club icon, the very person who embodied the spirit of the team. And that single failure of respect had absolutely devastating consequences. So, this was the final toll. The manager, fired. The club, locked in a relegation dogfight, and the locker room atmosphere and the club's entire identity, left in pieces. It really stands as a powerful, painful lesson on just how much a captain's leadership and a club's respect for its legends truly, truly matter.
Which leaves us with this final, lingering question. When a club loses not just a player, but its spiritual leader, its very soul, how does it even begin to rebuild? For Tottenham, that difficult journey is just beginning.